ต่อไปเป็นท่านมักวิสจะได้มาอธิบายเกี่ยวเรื่องเป็นภาษาอังกฤษซึ่งนางดร.สุนทรได้เขาเป็นภาษาลาวไปแล้วขอบใจมักวิส
Okay, this is an official letter to Mr. Thongsin Thamavong, Prime Minister's office in Laos. This is about the disappearance of Mr. Sombath Somphone and the truth about freedom in Laos, the real truth. A new political crime has shocked the free world and represents the work of NGOs in question of Laos. This is the story of the disappearance of Mr. Sombath Somphone, a prominent NGO activist for development who disappeared at 7 p.m. on December 15, 2012 at Watnang District, Sisatak town in Vientiane capital. Möchtest du erstmal einen Absatz? Mr. Sombath Somphone was a child of poverty, born in the village of Ban Dong Kiev, Khamon province, who went on to complete his education with a PhD in ergonomic from the University of Hawaii. He returned home in 1980 with a strong desire to dedicate the qualifications and capabilities which he has acquired from his learning in the most advocated country in the world. His goal was to help lift from poverty the mass of the Lao population, including the many ethnic groups who were left far behind. Mr. Sombath is married to Mrs. Nguyen Su Meng, a Singaporean and fellow student of the University of Hawaii, also with a PhD. She works for the United Nations, covering several countries in Asia, including Laos, PDR, and the Republic of Korea. Mr. Sombath is a man of humility, without ambiguities, who is adverse to corruption that pillages and ruins the national resources and the taint of betraying the people and their trust. He decided not to join government, but to dedicate his energy and knowledges to help promote agricultural development with the aim of making a better life for the people in rural areas, with a great majority of Laotians live, and of building for a future with Laos can be on par with the rest of the civilized societies. To this end, he founded the Petitionary Development Training Center, PEDIT, for years of dedicated efforts and many accomplishments of PEDIT. Mr. Sombath was an internationally recognized with the Macus Award for Community Leadership in 2005. Given the status of this international recognition in the region of Asia, it is not easy to explain the terrible event that befell Mr. Sombath instead of valuing and protecting an effective contributor to a promising and helpful development process as an NGO leader who is well loved and appreciated by the populace. The political system has flagrantly endangered him and his person. We believe that the disappearance of Mr. Sombath Somphone was an event that was directed and staged by the authorities of the Lao PDR, who are entirely responsible. The evidence from the closed-circuit TV by the police post where Mr. Sombath's car was stopped on his way home shows after the police stopped his car, they took him inside. He was later escorted to another vehicle which drove him into the night. For us, this modus operandi is nothing new, just like the way it happened previously to hundreds of other patriotic democracy activists under the order of the Vietnamese political supervisors across the government officials and carried out by the Lao PDR secret police. The fact that the Lao PDR authorities tries to hide the fact that the police had taken Mr. Somphone somewhere to possibility be tortured, all the while obfuscating responsibility by claiming the incident stemmed from his personal issues with business dealings, reveals the true face of government that habitually uses harsh, brutal methods under its arbitrary dictatorial power, attempting to deceive the international community by speaking glibly while doing the opposite of what it says. The government demonstrates a pattern of insincerity and disregard towards the world community, including journalists. It also shows that the powers that be are not independent in governing their own country by subservient to Vietnamese agenda. International institutions, including the United Nations and the European Parliament, along with a multitude of NGOs in Asia, numbering more than 60 organizations, and Mr. Sombath's wife herself, have communicated with the Lao PDR authorities, asking for clarification regarding his disappearance. But the government still brazenly denies any responsibility of this event. As normal procedure, a government knows or will attempt to find out the facts about an incident of such an international importance. At the very least, it should find out the officials involved, educated their asks, and where the others came from. A government must be responsible for every incident of this nature and of such international magnitude that occurs within the country. We appeal to the superpowers and the donor countries who believe in justice and fairness, and the international organizations to urgently cease the aid to the Lao PDR government as long as it continues to stonewall and ignore the many requests to release Mr. Somphone into freedom. We support the call of the United Nations, the European Parliament and the international NGOs for the government to resolve this issue as quickly as possible, with particular consideration being given to the life, personal safety, health and well-being of Mr. Sombath. We further call upon the Lao PDR's government to allow NGO to help the people in the development to process for a better life completes with citizens' right by letting them operate activity without political pressure, personal duress and intimidation. They must not be subjected to threats of arrests, incarceration or expulsion, as in the recent case of Miss Sophie Gindros. We demand a complete reform of the Lao Constitution. Democracy with free elections, freedom of speech, press assembly and independent judicative are the being that we need. On behalf of the Alliance for Democracy in Laos. Thank you.